You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere.
Good morning and welcome to Matt Nair on Air. Jane Matt Nair, Greg Bach, and Calvin Butonoff coming to you live from our studio here at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us, call or text. The number is the same, 855-752-4842. That's 855-75-CIVIC for short. Or leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream. Good morning, live stream. On Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. We have a lot of stuff coming up on the show today. Our friend, it's been too long, political consultant Joseph Hecky is going to be joining us after the 9:30 news. We're going to talk a little bit about Tom Tiffany, of course, Wisconsin's own, hinting he may run for governor.
I saw a press release that referred to him as the biggest flirt when it comes to this.
The biggest flirt?
Because he's flirting with running. Batting his eyes.
Bat those eyes.
Holding that fish. And
he did have a telephone town hall.
Oh, well.
Tom Tiffany. You don't want to actually look at people.
A for effort, I guess?
Yeah. So many things to talk about with Joseph Hecky, including, do we often move convicted sex offenders to minimum security prisons? I didn't think that was a regular thing. So we'll talk about that with Joe, among many other things. Hour number 2, the president of the Wisconsin Farmers Union, our friend Darren Von Ruden, is going to join us at 10 o'clock. We're going to talk about how dairy is faring in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Tariffs,
Tariffs and other stuff.
And deportations and all those things. So Darren Von Ruden is going to join us after 10 o'clock. We will lighten things up as we always do after 10:30 with a little audio sorbet where we take a breath, get away from the news. Today is National Root Beer Float Day, which got us talking about desserts in general and the most overrated desserts.
Okay.
So we'll take your calls and your texts after 10:30 for audio sorbet. What is your most overrated dessert? Everybody's like, ooh, take this. And you're like, yeah, thanks, no.
Great. It's
this. And then we'll wrap up the show as we always do with This Shouldn't Be a Thing. Today with a video element, and it's all over the place. I saw it in CNN this morning. What the Puck edition.
What the Puck?
Puck, P-U-C-K, What the Puck edition, coming up at the very end of the show around 50-ish, 51-ish or so. So stay tuned for that. Didn't want to start off with this, though. From the Wisconsin Examiner, Henry Redmond has the byline. The Trump administration cancels $75 million in climate grants to Wisconsin. The canceled projects include cash for Wisconsin's Department of Military Affairs to make infrastructure more resilient to climate change. Also a grant for a Milwaukee-based water quality nonprofit company to help kids in the city learn about sustainability. And we don't want to do that.
We just don't like teaching in this country anymore.
Well, certainly not when it comes to climate change.
No.
Let's not have any critical thinking involved with that. Under Trump, all of the money that was passed out under the Inflation Reduction Act and the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act under the Biden administration, that money has now been clawed back as Republicans become even more hostile to efforts to address climate change. Again, this from the Wisconsin Examiner, U.S. Representative Tom Tiffany is considering running for governor next year. He has spent a lot of time fighting the construction of solar energy in Wisconsin. Tom Tiffany, by the way, who is in the Northwoods.
Correct.
Represents the Northwoods. And again, he held a telephone town hall that we'll talk about with Joseph Hecky in a little bit. But Tom Tiffany is essentially griping now about Canada and the smoke from the wildfires.
Yes.
And has said that Canada needs better forest management and we should fine them or do something to Canada until they can get this under control. What jumped out at me, so up until 3 years ago, which is the first time that I can remember that we had this wildfire smoke coming from Canada 3 years ago. So up until 3 years ago, Canada was doing a great job on this.
Yeah.
And then apparently 3 years ago, they stopped. No.
No.
It's called climate change.
Yeah. This is not this let me rephrase that. I'm sorry, everybody. This shouldn't be controversial.
No, it shouldn't.
And also, we've mentioned it before. Tom Tiffany, even a year ago, was a relatively quiet person. It wasn't until the election last year was when he really popped up.
Yeah, he's kept his head down for a long time. He's got a good gig going on.
Yeah, relatively a backbencher, didn't really know anything. If you said Tom Tiffany, you wouldn't realize he's a congressman. Well, he's been getting out there in the world more and more and saying things, and I would say stupid things. And to advise, and that's in heavy air quotes, advise the Canadian government how to criticize them of doing a poor job with the wildfires and then tell them what they should be doing is not the press you want, in my opinion. It's right up there when Donald Trump told California to sweep their forests better in order to curb the possibility of wildfires. You are picking the wrong battle, sir. You want to be governor, which, we know you're playing
He's flirting with it.
Yeah, you're flirting with it. You're playing a will he, won't he? Pick the good issues. Pick the strong issues. Talk about the things that affect us as Wisconsinites. Don't make waves and headlines by criticizing a country that I'm sure you have no problem annexing as the 51st state, if that's still a thing. But this is just not the way to introduce yourself to the mainstream of this state. It's not a good look for him.
Well, again, just reporters, if you have the opportunity, ask Mr. Tiffany what happened 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
In Canada.
Yeah.
Because again, it wasn't until 3 years ago we started seeing wildfire smoke from Canada in Wisconsin. So apparently they'd been doing a really bang up job of forest sweeping up until that point. And then 3 years ago, I guess all their brooms burned or something.
I feel like we're going to be talking about this man more and more, and he's just not hitting the mark. He's not saying things and actually the thing that really bothers me is he's saying things. He's literally a man yelling at the clouds. He's yelling at Canada saying, do a better job. But these are not the things that matter to us as Wisconsin. Yes, climate matters.
And certainly the air quality matters.
And having $75 million in grants for climate research and climate change education and those types of things. And that matters, but what doesn't matter is you picking a nonsensical topic to get your hackles raised on, and it doesn't make you look good. It makes people go, who's this? Wait, he's a congressman?
He's a what?
Wait a minute. How is he a congressman? He's a guy who's literally yelling at Canada right now. It really bothers me a lot. It really, really bothers me because he has this automatic pedestal he gets to stand on, soapbox, I should say. He gets a big microphone that we pay for because he's a congressman.
Well, and at the same time, he doesn't actually ever have to meet his constituents face to face.
No.
He just does telephone town halls where you have to submit your questions ahead of time. They vet who they're going to put on with him. They get to pick and choose what questions he will answer. Yeah, that seems a little selective to
Sounds
me.
like the old days of Paul Ryan, if you ask me.
Doesn't it?
Yeah. So selective audience members. Well, he actually had town halls, but he picked who got in the room. But I guess, he can say things of Canada needs to do better job. And for my friends out there who are the reporters say that's fine. But why do you support the Trump administration canceling $75 million in grants to Wisconsin? Why are you against the money that would help the economy with research and education and creation of jobs? Why are you against that?
Well, and while we're on the subject of weather and climate, the Weather Service, National Weather Service, this from CNN, is now hiring back hundreds of positions that got cut courtesy of Donald Trump's DOGE at the very beginning of his term. The National Weather Service has gotten permission now to hire 450 meteorologists, hydrologists, and radar technicians just a month after being gutted by the Trump administration. The new hiring number includes 126 new positions previously approved. They will apply to frontline mission critical personnel. The cuts at the National Weather Service, yes, spurring concerns over how well we are ready for hurricane season, which is starting up in the Atlantic. Staff reductions have also been looked at in the wake of those deadly Texas floods, which, by the way, that fight's still going on.
Yeah.
And Governor Abbott and the Texas Republicans held a special session ostensibly to address the still lack of help these people are getting in Texas after those floods on the 4th of July. That's not their number one concern. Their number one concern is redistricting.
Oh, yes. They want to get.
That's why he held a special session to redistrict everything, because apparently all their big, beautiful bill things and how everyone is so happy about this. Apparently not. If the policies were so good, I guess I'm not quite sure why you have to gerrymander this so spectacularly, except if you want to listen to one Republican from Texas, he said, because we can. We're doing it because we can.
Yeah. Hey, man. Get up.
Donald Trump says, I deserve them.
Yeah. I honestly, I think that I'll respect your honesty, whoever said that. When you talk about that national. By the way, that is Elon Musk and Donald Trump's Doge. I do not want to let him fade away from what he has done. Elon Musk has done a very good job of fading way to the back.
Yeah.
And we have not talked about it in a while. And I'm not saying we spend the whole day talking about him, but when we can, Elon Musk is the reason why this is happening as well, because Donald Trump gave him the keys to the castle and said, cut away. And this is what's happening. And we were seeing the aftermath and the pangs of all of this. But in that article that we will have in the show notes regarding the National Weather Service rehiring people, I did a quick, fast search of the words loyalty tests just to make sure, because if they hire them back, it will not surprise me at all if they have to somehow swear allegiance or loyalty to, the president of the United States, which sounds more like a king or a dictator, but that's for another day.
Yeah, shades of dictatorship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that goes back to Project 2025,
yes.
which essentially said all of our science departments from here on out will be given the results we want, and then they have to wait. They have to find a way to get there.
And this may be a golden oldie or a greatest hits, but this is just a reminder that just because you don't know, care, read, or have any opinion on Project 2025 doesn't mean it didn't happen and it isn't being implemented right now. That's for a couple of listeners out there who said, well, what's the big deal?
Nobody I know.
Well, it's the big deal now. And eventually and I'm betting dollars to donuts, it's impacting you whether or not you'd like to admit it or not.
Well, and my other question goes back to the whole element of fiscal responsibility. I'm not a business owner. I don't own a business, but I would imagine when you come in, because again, Trump is the greatest businessman in the world. If you come in and you buy a company, don't you find out what people's responsibilities are and the functions they serve before you blow them all out and then realize, whoopsie, we needed that guy. He's got all the passcodes. Coming up, now we know who ended up with Deep Thought, the abandoned boat on Milwaukee's lakefront. Stick around. We've got Matt Nair on airs first. We salute you. Coming up on the Civic Media Radio Network.
You're listening to Civic Media. Stay up to date on the latest news and information for your local community and Wisconsin by signing up for our free email newsletter. Visit civicmedia.us/email to get started.
Good morning. Welcome to Matt Nair on Air. Jane Matt Nair, Greg Bach, Dr. Slide on the board, coming to you from our studio here at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us. Call or text at 855-752-4842. You can leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Well, we spent months and months talking about that abandoned boat that was abandoned and left on Milwaukee's lakefront. A couple from down south apparently had planned to live on the boat. They were traveling, I think, from Manitowoc back down south to their home down south, ran out of fuel, ended up grounding the thing, and they simply didn't have the money to do this. So we want to do a new salute to the owner of All City Towing, Jeff Pillar, who is now the owner of Deep Thought. Do we have applause, Calvin? Let's give a little round of applause for Jeff Pillar, the owner of All City Towing. Yes. Pillar, when he was asked why he decided to buy Deep Thought, which is in pieces, He said, have you ever had something when you're cleaning out your house and you just can't throw it away? Yes, I understand that. The auction for Deep Throat ended just after noon yesterday. The winning bid, $2,525 to Mr. Pillar, who is also the man responsible who got it off the lakefront. So his company stepped up and removed this thing. They did get some help. Milwaukee County paid All City a total of $50,000 to remove the boat. But they still say we're going to take a loss.
Yeah.
This is the county faces a significant budget deficit. So it's a small part. It's a bigger issue. We have over $500 million in deferred maintenance in Milwaukee County. We'd love more money from the state of Wisconsin. But again, well done. And thank you to Jeff Pillar from All City Towing.
Deep thought. What do you get? That's the thing I want to know.
Well, he says he is hoping to auction off pieces of the boat for charity.
Okay, because that was the thing. That was the question I had was, you're not getting the boat. You're getting pieces, right? Because the boat was already falling apart.
Well, and they had to take it apart to get it off the beach.
Exactly. No, and nothing against this man. I'm glad he's doing the work needs to get done. And if they auction up, hey, if it's affordable enough, maybe I'll buy a piece. If it's for charity, I would love that.
Yeah.
But everyone kept on talking about who's going to get the boat. No one's getting a boat. It's not. It's a boat in name only right now.
It's a shell of a boat.
It's a great start.
Deep Thought ran aground between Bradford and McKinley beaches last October. The owners ran out of fuel during a storm. Legal fees to pursue the boat's original owners, which we had asked numerous times, why can't they go after these folks? Trying to get the money from the owners would actually exceed the losses.
Yeah, and also their full story was never told, so we got squirrely on this one and definitely said, all right,
thanks, John, for the correction.
We apologize.
It's Deep Thought.
Yes, it's Deep Thought.
I misspoke.
I was going to say something, but I didn't want to screw you up mid.
No, what I'm thinking about
mid thought there. Oh my God!
Clean your head. Clean your head.
My goodness.
Mr. Pillar says, "quote It's not to make money with. I'd really like to spend the time and energy doing good things with it. I think the right thing to do is to take out a bunch of the good pieces of artwork because it was graffitied all over the place and let them be auctioned at charity events for good causes. None of this is going to be for profit."
Good. Great. And so then we salute you, sir.
We salute you. Absolutely. Nice to see someone step up. They didn't. That thing could still be sitting there.
Yeah.
Really.
And the thing was, fine. It looked cool, whatever. It didn't even look, after a while, it was a danger. It was dirty.
Well, people were jumping around. Eventually someone was going to get hurt.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you all involved for taking care of it. It is now just a sweet, sweet memory. And if they do an auction, definitely we'll talk about it as well. We'll tell you where you can go. Maybe you want to put some money down, give some money to charity, and get a piece of wood from a boat that was at a place once at a thing. There you go.
I mean, to tick everybody off, but you pretty much get as much out of your share of owning a piece of Deep Thought as you do for being a Packers shareholder, I'm just saying.
Oh.
Ouch.
Ooh. That's a whole other topic.
We're glad to see it gone. We're glad. Again, shout out to All City Towing, Jeff Pillar, who is now the happy owner, I guess, of the boat Deep Thought that was left abandoned on Milwaukee's shoreline for months and months and months. And we thank him again and his crew for taking the time to schlep it away.
Hey, Jane.
Yes.
You know who I'd really like to talk to? Can we get him on the show? Can we talk to Joe Zepecki soon?
That's a really good idea. He's very busy.
He's very busy, so I know we have to book him out like months in advance.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know if he'll be able to make it. Hopefully.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay.
We'll make Calvin will make a reach. Calvin's the one with the pole. Calvin's the one with the pole.
What you guys don't understand is that Calvin is far more powerful than you understand. He doesn't just hits the ones and the twos here on the show. He also commands a network of influential folks.
Oh yeah.
He is the influencer's influencer.
Yeah.
That's what Calvin is to us and to all.
And he controls everybody's volume.
And
so he's really the one in control.
And he controls the weather, too. What you don't understand is that Calvin controls the weather.
We have news coming up next, and then a little more about Wisconsin's own Tom Tiffany telephone town halls. All of that.
Terrific.
And much more. Stay with us. You are listening to Matt Nair on Air, coming to you across the Civic Media Radio Network. Good morning, and welcome to Matt Nair on Air. Jane Matt Nair, Greg Bach, Sweet Calby, coming to you live from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us. Call or text at 855-752-4842. That's 855-75-CIVIC. You can also leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Coming up a little bit later on today, 2 o'clock with the Todd Alba Show. Todd is live from La Crosse today. This should be a great show. Fusion Voting Seminar. This is something that we've talked about, and we're going to talk about it more. But Leader Ethics wants to revive a forgotten fix for elections system, fusion voting. Join Todd today. They're going to talk about what is fusion voting, why did it leave Wisconsin, what would it do, what does this mean, all of that stuff. Going to be a great show. Join Todd today starting at 2 o'clock across the Civic Media Radio Network. Right now we are joined by our friend, it's been too long, political consultant Joe Zepecki is here. Good morning, Mr. Z. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys? I'm a little worried that fusion voting is like related to nuclear fusion, and we're going to be voting that way on the moon under Sean Duffy.
Oh, yes.
I thought it was more about jazz and the votes that you can't vote for in the between the spaces. And
Yes, it's all very confusing, Joe. That's one of the reasons we have you on to help us navigate our way through all the confusing things that are happening these days. One thing we wanted to start off with you, Joe, was Tom Tiffany flirting, as the publications are now saying, flirting. He's batting his eyes at the potential for entering the governor's race in Wisconsin. What do you think about Mr. Tiffany?
I think he should do it.
Yeah.
I think he has the inside track to an endorsement from Donald Trump. And we know that the key to victory and success in a Republican primary in the age of Trump, with MAGAs running the Republican Party, is to have the endorsement of Donald Trump. Now, that will bode him well. He is the Trumpiest of all of the candidates. He at least comes by it honestly, as opposed to Berrien and Showman, who are groveling to get past things they've done in their past that are not in lockstep with Donald Trump. This is who the Republican Party is now. When Trump says jump, they ask how high.
Yeah.
When he says don't touch Medicaid, it's a political loser, and Republican members of Congress go, excuse me, but sir, this bill you're asking us to vote for cuts $1 trillion from Medicaid. They just go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
And so he would do very well whether or not he can raise money. My expectation is he gets into this race in the coming weeks.
And I don't want to spend too much time on this other person because we talked about it yesterday, and it seems more like he was just trying to be relevant for a moment. But Tommy Thompson has not said no, but he hasn't said yes. But when you talk about the reckoning of your past as far as with respect to the GOP, that's a man who has a past that almost looks liberal in comparison to where he is now to his support and defense of Donald Trump. I mean, even if he were to run, he's got to answer for those. Like, he's for mass transit. Oh, my goodness. He can't be a Republican.
Well, and Tommy Thompson is not the Tommy Thompson of the 90s.
Yeah.
He got smoked by Tammy Baldwin in 2012. He's now a loser, and Donald Trump doesn't like losers. He's also someone who is, as the Tammy Baldwin tagline said, he's not for you anymore. This is someone who is sold out to the RFK Maha movement as they are devastating vaccines in this country, as they are running roughshod over our norms and the system. And so Tommy Thompson loves to be relevant. He's a Wisconsin legend. No one's taken that away from him. Yeah. But I don't think the idea that somebody who's going to be 84 before this year is over, that they're going to run a real campaign for governor and serve a full term. Come on.
Yeah,
let's be serious.
I think this is more of a vanity thing for Tommy Thompson. And as you said, Joe, he likes people. He likes being around people. He likes shaking hands. He likes that part of the politicking of it. Maybe he misses that a little bit. And but I don't think this is serious.
he's more likely to be the referee that Ron Johnson wants to get everybody into the smoke-filled back room and take choice away from voters, because Senator Ron Johnson doesn't want there to be a Republican primary. He is on record saying he wants all of the Republican candidates for governor to get in a room by the end of this year and just decide who's going to be their nominee.
Oh, just give it to them.
Yeah, because that is apparently what
Mhm.
passes for democracy in the eyes of Republicans these days.
And that's something, too, that with regard to what you're saying as being the Trumpiest and being a winner in the eyes of Tom Tiffany, as far as he is currently a sitting congressman, it seems like it also then allows him to not have to work as hard to campaign as the others in the GOP field, because I'm a guy, so just give it to me, and you don't worry about what I stand for and what I'm doing up in the North Woods and the Apostle. Don't worry about that stuff. I love Trump. You love Trump. Give me. I Trump every day, all day, and therefore there has to be. He is responsible for less campaigning, if you will. He doesn't have to work as hard, knocking as many doors. He can hold town halls where it's,
Telephone town
perfectly
halls.
curated, like a fine restaurant.
Which he just did, by the way. All 6 questions. This is from the Wisconsin Examiner. Tuesday, Tom Tiffany had a telephone at town hall with all 6 questions that Tiffany took coming from people who are very supportive of the one big blob of a bill. What a shock. There was no dissension there. I'm stunned.
Yeah, listen, why would he want to subject himself to what Brian Stiles
Yeah.
got subject to? What the Republican congressman who represents Lincoln, Nebraska, in Nebraska's 1st congressional district got the other day, which is round after round after round of boos from people who are calling out these lawmakers on their BS, right? When a Republican stands there and says, no, we're protecting Medicaid, people know that's nonsense. We are in an era where Republicans are saying things that are just not connected to reality and the truth, and the American people know that. And our job is to ensure people are watching what they do and not listening to what they say, because those two things are always very, very far apart.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Yes. If you're just joining us, political consultant Joe Zepecki is our guest. We're talking about Tom Tiffany, Wisconsin's own congressman, talking about throwing his hat in the ring to be governor. Tom Tiffany, of course, represents the North Woods. We talked about this a little bit, though, Joe. What does he come to the electorate and say, I did this for you? He went and stood by the Blotnick Bridge, which he didn't vote for, which happened under the Biden administration, but he was happy to stand next to the bridge and go, look at what we did. Isn't this a great thing? Is it just about he can come to voters and say, look what I didn't do for you?
It's he can own the libs. He can be the culture warrior and the Trump toady who, whenever Trump does something that harms Wisconsin, Tiffany can say, I voted for that. I supported that. I mean, this is crazy that this is how we live now. But the idea that Tom Tiffany doesn't know that the tariff policy is hurting Wisconsin manufacturers and producers and our farmers, he knows it, but he doesn't care. And apparently no Republicans in Congress care, because they're not standing up and saying, stop. Even the ones who, again, say the right things, when it's time to go and cast a vote, they don't live up to it.
Yeah.
Right? We're going back to Ron Johnson, who told, one of the shows, these tariffs are hurting Wisconsin businesses. And if they don't stop, a lot of these companies are going to have to close or go out of business. And then when Johnson has an opportunity on the floor of the United States Senate to put a stop on Trump's emergency tariffs, he doesn't do it.
Yeah.
They're not living up to what they're saying, and there is a cost to that for Wisconsin. And so that might play in a Republican primary, but whoever the Republican nominee is going to own the mess that Trump has made of the U.S. economy, of the global economy, of the chaos that is preventing any actual progress on the economy. People are struggling. We're not creating enough jobs. Inflation is rising again. Beef prices are through the roof. This is not a recipe for political success if you mess up the one thing that voters expected a second President Trump term to accomplish, which was to improve the economy. newsflash, the economy's not getting better. You can fire as many statisticians as you want.
Yeah.
It's not going to change the reality of what people are feeling in their lives. And that's where we are. And that's the Gordian knot, which keeps getting tighter for Republicans.
And I think it's important that we all remember as well that the implementation of some of these things has not happened yet and aren't going to happen in many cases until after next year's midterms.
Yeah, but people know it. People know it's coming.
Right. But again, the full effects aren't going to be felt for at least probably a year, maybe even more, maybe a year and a half once these Medicaid cuts really start kicking in. But yeah, Joe, in the interim, are beef prices going to start coming down? He's changing his mind on tariffs every day. It's exhausting.
Well, the problem that Trump and Republicans are going to have on tariffs is those tariffs are being challenged in court because Trump is using an emergency declaration and an emergency power that just does not comport with reality. And so if he gets slapped down by the Supreme Court, you know what Trump is going to do. He's going to turn to his Republican pals in Congress and say, great, do these legislatively. And then folks like Tom Tiffany, they're not going to think twice.
Right.
They're just going to do it.
Yeah.
That is the takeaway of the Trump era is if Trump wants it, Republicans will do it. Whether that's tariff policy, whether that's participating in a cover-up of the Epstein files, they are willing to, they bought the ticket, they are taking the ride, and they are happy to do so.
And I want to go back to something you just said, too, about the, quote, owning the libs. I feel like while there are still people out there who greatly enjoy it and gives them meaning in life, I feel that a lot of regular folks are getting past that fighting social media type of thing and saying, oh, no, I don't want to own the libs anymore. I want to try to own my house. I want to try to pay my bills. I don't care about your social media fights. I don't care about you calling AOC a slur and getting away with it. I want to talk about the fact that my kid can't go to college.
Yeah. I mean, that's the recipe for Democrats is like, we can't get distracted by the controversy du jour of the week, whether it's Sydney Sweeney one week or Bud Light the next. Eyes on the prize.
Yes.
This president was elected to lower prices and improve the economy, and he has not done it. In fact, the economy is doing worse. We see less economic growth, fewer opportunities for wage increases, and a tax bill that gives everything to millionaires, billionaires, and trillionaires and scraps for the rest of us, scraps to people who work for a living.
Not to mention the fact that we are now rehiring hundreds and hundreds of people that Doge fired when they came in, and then they realized, oh, they did jobs. We need that. Oops. Good
we
planning.
should probably have somebody who knows how to turn the lights on.
It's all about planning. It's all about looking long term and what's coming down the road. Yeah, they're not so good at that. The president says moving a convicted sex offender to a minimum security prison happens all the time. Does it?
It does not.
We'll kick that around next with Joe Zepecki. Stay with us. You're listening to Matt Nair on Air, coming to you across the vast, statewide, countrywide. You can pick us up around the world on the Civic Media Radio Network.
You're listening to Civic Media. Find the latest news, information, and archives of all your favorite shows on the Civic Media website, civicmedia.us.
Good morning. Welcome back to Matt Nair on Air. Jane Matt Nair, Greg Bach, Calvi-Tini on the board, coming to you from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. 855-752-4842 is the number to call or text if you would like to join the show. You can also leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream. Good morning live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. If you are not familiar with Civic Media, maybe you've just recently found us. Which we really appreciate. Our mission here at Civic Media is to champion democracy through local voices across Wisconsin. We are a public benefit corporation, which is actually kind of unusual, and it's kind of a really great thing. If you would like to find out more about Civic Media, how you can support Civic Media, and learn more about all of our stations across the state, just go to civicmedia.us/support. and check it out. Go to our website as well, civicmedia.us, and again, /support to find out how you can help support Civic Media and our mission to safeguard democracy. Our friend and colleague and political consultant Joe Zepecki is here, Mr. Z. Right before we went to the break, Jeffrey Epstein is dead and he just won't go away, Joe. It's really problematic. The House, Mike Johnson, let the House go home early so they could run away from having to cast a vote about Jeffrey Epstein. Nobody wants this to go away more than President Donald Trump. There was an exchange he had yesterday that just kind of jumped out at me. Calvin, I believe we have this clip from President Donald Trump. Can you play that, please?
Do you believe that she's credible to be listening to? Your deputy attorney general sat down with her recently.
Well, let me tell you, he's a very talented man.
Talking about Todd
His name is
Blanche.
Todd Blanche. He's a very legitimate person, very high.
He's human.
I just a very highly thought of person, respected by everybody.
Everybody.
And I didn't talk to him about it, but I will tell you that whatever he asked would be totally appropriate, and it's not an uncommon thing to do that. And I think he probably wants to make sure that, people that should not be involved or aren't involved are not hurt by something that would be very, very unfortunate, very unfair to a lot of people.
That is the clip. People who should not be involved, we don't want them to get hurt. That really jumped out at me. We're talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, of course, convicted sex trafficker, convicted sex offender who was in prison. And then last Friday, the Trump administration moved her to a minimum security prison, which now Republicans are saying, Joe, this just happens all the time.
This is the one that's known as Club Fed.
Oh,
minimum
great.
security.
Nice.
Yeah. The rot goes all the way down. The entire Republican Party is now complicit in a cover-up. And they have given just short of a get-out-of-jail-free card to a convicted sex trafficker and sexual abuser of children.
Yep.
Ghislaine Maxwell groomed girls as young as 14 years old and participated in violent bodily crimes against those young women herself. She is the worst of the worst. And it sure looks like the Trump administration cut a corrupt deal with her. That the Trump administration can say, we want to release the grand jury transcripts, and now we're going to go talk to Maxwell, and we're going to set her up at this cozy resort-like, spa-like minimum security prison. And then what's she going to do? She's going to object on our behalf to the release of the grand jury transcripts, which were all about trying to quell this furor over the fact that Trump and his acolytes have said for years they would release the files. They would be transparent about what Epstein did and who he did it with. And now they are changing their tune. They are covering it up. And this is not a situation where the cover-up is worse than the crime. The sexual exploitation of minors is a heinous, heinous crime. But the cover-up is what is going to cause problems for Republicans for years to come. And any Republican representing Wisconsin, Brian Stile, Tom Tiffany, Tony Weed, Fitzgerald, I'm forgetting one. Van Orden. They are now all complicit in preventing the American people from knowing the truth about these sex pests who targeted and harmed children, and it is to their everlasting shame.
Well, and what really blows my mind, yesterday, James Comer, who sits on one of the House committees, has issued subpoenas related to the Epstein-Maxwell thing. Yeah, he's issued subpoenas for Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton and Barack Obama. You know who's not on that list of subpoenas? The guy who cut the sweetheart deal with Jeffrey Epstein in the first place, Alex Acosta, who was then made part of the Trump administration, and he was in the part of the administration that oversees sex trafficking. Nobody wants to talk to Alex Acosta. Nobody wants to talk to any of the victims.
Trump wants this to go away more than anything else, and it's not going anywhere. there are at least 3 dates in the weeks ahead where deadlines for subpoenas or votes on discharge petitions, the bill is coming due. This is going to be a boat anchor around the political neck of Republicans for a very long time, particularly because there's no other good news they can point to. They can't point to a growing economy. They can't point to millions of Americans getting new jobs or better jobs. This is going to be here for a while, and it should.
Joe Zepecki is a political consultant and friend of the show. Thank you so very much. Good to see you, my friend. We'll get you back on sooner than we did this last time around. Thanks, have guys. News coming up next. And then when we come back, tariffs and Wisconsin dairy farms. Darren Von Ruden will be here. Stay close. You're listening to Matt Nair on Air. We are the Civic Media Radio Network.
The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.